Greetings, my name's Srikanth. I'm from the blog Confessions of a Laundry Faerie, and today we're going to be talking about the second week after duodenal switch surgery, which I underwent August 2nd of this year. This has been in some ways an easier week and in some ways a harder week than the last time I made a video. It's been an easier week in the sense that things are starting to heal up a little bit, so I'm not feeling the near constant pain that I felt last week, and I hope you can kind of see that there's a difference. So things are starting to heal up. I'm really appreciating that. I'm liking the fact that it doesn't hurt to do everything anymore, so I'm no longer kicking myself saying, why did I do this? Feeling a lot better. It has been a little harder in the sense that I had a minor hernia scare this last week. It turned out not to be a hernia. It turned out just to be post-surgical trauma, and it may go away on its own. But when this sudden bulge pops up that you're like, I've never seen that before, it seems not quite right. I went and saw the doctor about it, and he took a look, and he said, no, you're good. So that was a relief. I was a little worried. Okay, so stats. I keep forgetting to do stats. I was going to do them last week and slipped my mind. As many things are doing, I can't really blame it on the propofol anymore because it's been too long out. But I am 48 years old. At my heaviest, I weighed 270 pounds, which is a lot for somebody who's just barely under 5'4". That would have been in the late 90s, early 2000s. I weighed about 270. At my surgery, I weighed 236 pounds. And after having stepped on the scale this morning, I weighed in at 221 pounds. So we're going in the right direction. It's going faster than I thought, and it's also going weirdly slower than I thought. I don't know how to explain other than that when you start seeing really fast weight loss, if it doesn't continue in the same vein, you start going, what? Come on, body, hustle it up. So, it's just sort of funny how your brain works. What else can I tell you? My particular surgeon is, one of the reasons why I picked him is because he's very thorough, and he is very conservative as far as moving his patients along. He wants to make sure that you're all healed up before you move to the next phase. So for 4 weeks after surgery, I am on a very restricted clear liquid diet, and by that I mean the options I have are water, sugar-free, caffeine-free, bubble-free liquids like Crystal Light. I can have beef broth, chicken broth, other types of broth as long as they have no solids in them. And I can have sugar-free Jell-O and sugar-free popsicles. And that's about it. Last week, I was limited only to that. This week, I've started getting in protein in the form of protein shakes. That's been harder than I expected. Part of the difficulty is that my surgeon wants me to get in 150 grams of protein every day, which comes out to about 5 protein shakes a day. And when you've got a teeny tummy, that's hard to do. So I've had some difficulty with that. The other thing that I've had trouble with, frankly, has been getting in enough water. The requirement for the office that I'm going to is 3 liters of water a day, which is hard to do. I was not a big water drinker before this surgery, and now trying to get used to that has been really difficult. More so than I thought it would be. Although I got smart and picked up one of these bad boys. See this guy? This is a quart or a liter container of water. And today, for the first time, I've been doing what everybody told me to do in the first place, but I didn't because I'm dumb, which is to carry this around with me and take little sips. And that's how you get through all that water. You have to carry it with you, and you have to drink anytime you think about it. Which, actually, let's do this now. Okay, so take that, Dr. Srikanth. Anyway, that's actually been helping, and it is important that you get in the water that your surgeon tells you you need, because if you don't, how can I put this? If you're taking a whole bunch of supplements which include massive amounts of iron, and you're also taking in a whole lot of protein, and you're not getting any fiber to speak of, your entire system slows to a crawl, and the water does help with that. But be aware that, yeah, that could be a problem, and you should probably be planning ahead. And if your doctor or your surgeon recommends a stool softener or anything else like that, you might want to go and get it just in case. Even if you haven't had problems with that before, it's not a bad idea. So let me think, what else? Oh, the thing that's been kind of difficult about the clear liquid diet too has been that, well, first of all, you do start really wanting to chew. It's one of the things I've never been a huge fan of Jell-O, but I've had a lot of Jell-O in the last 2 weeks, in that it gives you the illusion of chewing things and actually eating things, and that's been very helpful. But the thing that I've found difficult with a relatively limited number of items that you can take in is that flavor is an issue. You know, I could probably, now I feel like I could go the rest of my life without having another mug of chicken broth, just because it gets very monotonous. So I've started looking around for different things that will fit within the clear liquids and that just won't drive me completely batty with the same kind of flavor. I've been successful in finding some peach Jell-O and other flavors of sugar-free Jell-O at smaller stores that sometimes have their own brands, and they will sometimes have flavors of sugar-free Jell-O that other places don't. So when I find those, I pick them up and I try them. I've also found, and I'm not going to shill for any particular company, but I found a company, or I found a company product at the grocery store just recently that is, it's a concentrated broth for pho, the Vietnamese noodle soup. And I've just been mixing up these concentrates with hot water. You get pho broth, you don't necessarily get all the goodies that come with it, but you have a lot of the really good flavors, the really good spices and so forth that go into the broth that give me a bit of a break from basic chicken broth. The other thing that you can do, that I've done a couple of times, if you have store-made chicken broth and it's boring, if you will grab a knob or two of root ginger and cut it up into small pieces and just simmer it a little while with the chicken broth, not only does it improve the flavor of most store-bought broths, but it also does a really great job of helping if you've had problems with digestion, if your stomach's hurting or if your gut's not happy. Because ginger, in addition to being a great flavor, is also really good at helping with upset stomach. So if you want to switch up a little bit and you also want to maybe help an unhappy tummy, that's one way of doing it, and it works really well. What else have I done? Lots of water, as I've said, trying to get more of that in today, trying to figure out how to get those protein shakes in. And if you are a DS patient and you've been through this phase and you've also been trying to get in 150 grams of protein, if you have a good strategy for me, I would love to hear it, because I bought some protein shakes where I do like the flavors. It's just that you mix up the protein shakes, they're very thick, they're hard to get down. If you use the premixes, I have a surgeon who's convinced that the premixes just don't retain the same amount of protein as the ones that you mix up yourself, and there's also more volume to them, so it's harder to get 5 of them in. So if you have ideas for me, I would love to hear them. The other thing that I've been doing is that I've been working to try to get all the supplements in that they've recommended. And one of the things that I've done, because I do later on I plan on using the some of the over-the-counter things that I bought when I knew I was going to need them. But I think I'll wait until my stomach's healed up a little bit more before I start trying to down these, ginormous pills that are going to be difficult to get down. What I did instead was I went out and I found there are a couple of different places that specialize in supplements for bariatric patients. And I found at least a few of them that have these soft chews where you can just chew them up, swallow them. It's a whole lot easier than trying to down this humongous horse pill. And so that actually has been the least difficult thing. I was really worried that the supplements were going to be the hardest. They've actually turned out to be the easiest things that I've done so far. Go figure. So things are moving along. My next plan is to start getting in more exercise, because before this, I didn't feel like doing much of anything other than lying in bed and, being oblivious and getting my sleep in. But I'm now getting to the point where, as I've said, I'm starting to heal up, I'm starting to feel better, and I'm going to need a regular type of exercise. Probably walking around the neighborhood, but we'll see. Anyway, if you have questions, again, if you have comments, if you would like to give me advice, I would love to hear what you have to say. So please make comments below. Subscribe if you'd like to see what's going on with me. And once again, my name's Srikanth. I run the blog Confessions of a Laundry Faerie at laundryfaerie.blogspot.com. And thanks so much for your time. Bye.